Welcome back to Grounded Reality. We're here with Rani from Adirani Digital Solutions. This podcast is actually split up into two sections. The first section's on Adirani's YouTube and LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, you asked us before, like, what is Adirani? So now my turn to ask you, what is Sairo?
Yeah, so Sairo, we've actually just adjusted our messaging recently. So I wanna try the pitch out. So basically, Sairo is a creative agency, and we focus on enhancing human experiences. And the way we do that is through kind of immersive technologies, AR, VR, the Metaverse, and a little bit of Web 3D. And basically, at the core of it, we're kind of educating clients on where the space is going to start off with, and then we're kind of helping them develop projects around kind of multiple different things. So a lot of the time our work's kind of 50% of it at the moment is on digital fashion. There's probably 30% immersive education and then 20% of random projects that come in. So, I mean, the last random one I got was I was working on a video-to-video AI project where we took archive footage from the Michelin Kenyon archive and we kind of re-skinned it into popular kind of references. So I was like taking Lord of the Rings references and reskinning this kind of archive footage into a new film.
Okay.
Just to try and like re-engage people with old in a new way.
Right.
So the film was it was actually the first ever Western filmed, and it was filmed in Lancashire.
Oh.
The archive, Michelin Kenyon, they're two British filmmakers from 1880s, and they were the first British filmmakers. So they've got an archive in Lancashire that they do interesting kind of. They've got like loads of footage of Morecambe and Lancaster from the 1880s.
Wow, that sounds like very historical thing you're doing here.
It's like a historical, but then like on the flip side, how do we use modern technology to re-engage or re-engage with the history, I guess. Which is ironic because AI is literally taking what was to try and create new weird things.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I feel like I can ask different questions here. So for instance, well, since you're currently working with a historical project as well, so has there been any questions regarding like drawing lines, whether this is in terms of ethical, of course, ethical lines, like whether this is okay to be changed using AI, and where is it not okay?
So, again, actually, like from my perspective of the project, I was a bit like, this is kind of like butchering history in a way. And this is taking what an amazing kind of piece of work that is very kind of historically relevant and readapting it using AI is a bit like, oh, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? But for the reason of the project was it was an art piece. It was an installation for exploring the creation of electricity.
Right.
So the just to kind of give a little bit more information on the project was, so Michelin Kenyon from Blackburn, and also alongside that, the first ever substation in Britain was also switched on in Blackburn.
Oh.
So it's this idea of the creation of electricity and how electricity has evolved, and this kind of idea that the birth of electricity has led us up to this point of the creation of AI. And that AI is coming in this big loop of then reinterpreting and recreating the birth of film and the birth of electricity.
Right.
So it's this kind of, I guess, a circular project of we're taking history and kind of circulating it back on itself with modern technology.
Okay.
So from that perspective, in like a creative way,
Yeah.
I was like, actually, this is very interesting and very relevant. Obviously, from an IP perspective, there's like, okay, right, I'm utilizing references from the real world, but ultimately those references are never going to look like they were because the AI technology isn't up to a point where it can actually take it and readapt it correctly. So they were kind of morphs and kind of ghosts of what is now and what was then. And I wouldn't say it was like stealing. It was definitely an art piece,
Right.
rather than copyright infringement.
Yeah. Got you.
But I think the wider debate on what we can and cannot use within these kind of models is another question. It's like, okay, why I guess the wider internet and being able to kind of build these models off a data set that is kind of broad and kind of westernized, and taking information that isn't maybe correct because it's on a westernized internet to then feed into models that are very much set on the user and the user's kind of inputs. That kind of answers into a different question of like, what can you do and what can't you do with these models, and what is right and what's wrong, I guess.
I guess more of like what's okay and what's not okay.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, technically,
I know there's been some interesting outputs.
I mean, it's not nothing right or wrong. It's more about, I mean, because again, right and wrong is also subjective, right?
Yeah.
What's right for me might be wrong for you, and vice versa. So it's more about what is morally or ethically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always come back to this one when I'm on ethical debates of models around the. Were you here when Rory brought in? Rory, just for context, is the guy who helps run Fraser House. But were you here on our first panel on Thursday? Were you here when he brought the? So I think she represents
the Holocaust, the Wiener
Holocaust.
Library. Yeah. I was there.
Yeah. And I always come back to that debate of if you're creating, for context, they're on a debate of whether creating a virtual Holocaust survivor was ethically right or wrong. And I always come back to that of like, where do you draw the line in like accurately educating using models, but then reinterpreting past data with kind of ethical boundaries? I agree that we should be educating people on the past, but then have they agreed?
Are they agreed that their model are being used for this purpose?
Yeah, and I guess then there's the question of where's the data? Because ultimately anything on the internet is kind of publicly available. And then you're reinterpreting that data into a model. But then is that data correct? Is the other one. So I guess it opens multiple questions of where, and I can't answer that question. That's not down to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because this is such a new frontier, not exactly new, but comparatively new to the ones that we are very used to, right? Like something that's more like black or white, especially in the usage of, let's say, museum, because it was in the context of a museum anyway. Like if you have a visual art, then is it okay or not okay? That's it. But then there's an under like very small layers of complexity, that there's a human aspect, and then there's also the validity of data aspect, morality aspect as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions, and I think it opens up too many questions.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just go.
Well, just kind of bouncing off that, it's also the thing of like, so like DALL-E, Mid-Journey, based off kind of visual references. I kind of made the point of a lot of artists are inspired from other artists.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, well, creative artists stole, with quote, okay, like, stole from other artists, right?
Yeah. Like Picasso's line is literally like, a good artist borrows, a great artist steals. And it's this idea of how do, as artists, kind of, how do we take and reinterpret and kind of inspire further work? And I think as a whole art market, everyone's always looking up to the greats and influenced by those to kind of further that. It's the same in music. Everyone always says, oh, this artist sounds like this artist. But that's because we're being influenced by others and to kind of further those developments. So from that perspective, I'm quite like open to utilizing kind of AI models to inspire and develop artistic journeys, because I actually think that's part of the journey of like, I want to kind of take these kind of 5 different artists and I want to merge them into a style that I can cone and kind of develop on myself. And like, I guess using DALL-E and those, it is literally just a search engine on steroids. So as an artist, it's like, right, I want to get to a final result quicker. I can use these models to kind of help me get to that point. I've been challenging my sister on it because she's just started fashion and tech course. And I was like, the first question was, so are they training you to use the models to help you get to those end results quicker? So you pre-production stage, like generating and regenerating stuff. And she was like, no, why would I do that? I can't do that. I was like, well, are you using Google? And she was like, yeah. It's like, well, just use Google, but also use these tools, because ultimately it's going to help you find the right resources quicker. Whether the data is right is another question.
Well, whether the data is right, or whether we are okay to use the data or not.
Yeah.
Or not use the data, but use whatever being generated using the data.
Yeah. I think that's where I think using it as a pre-production tool rather than a post-production, like a finalization tool, is where it kind of comes into the hand of things.
What you're saying is that using it more like a mock-up, or like a base rather than
mood boarding.
Mood boarding.
We do a lot of that in terms of like, right, here's a load of references. Where would you like to kind of further your development? Like, here's one that's kind of in the style of X, and here's one in another style of. I think to get to that point and get your clients quicker down the line of pre-production, that's where I can see value.
It sounds like pretty like similar on how we are using. So we use mostly like Claude AI or ChatGPT.
I haven't tried Claude yet.
Oh yeah, I love Claude because it's smarter and clever.
Yeah. Well, I'll try it out.
Yeah, and you can actually have a more of a heart-to-heart conversation with Claude, and you feel like you're getting a response from someone who knows what they're talking about, because it's such
interesting. It
felt thoughtful.
Yeah,
you don't feel like it's very robotic and ChatGPT style of answer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So would you say for a mass consumer, Claude is more intuitive?
Yes. Again, like, So I did a talk about cloud AI, or pretty much constitutional AI, because that's what Anthropic was trying to build with cloud AI, meaning that it's an AI model that is trained or built using set of rules.
Okay.
And those set of rules could be something that's from the UN Declaration of Human Rights, or as simple as Apple, like diversity inclusion policy, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so it's more educated.
Yeah. It's trained on better data.
Yeah. And I mean, I did have a conversation just out of curiosity, so I just typed stuff to Cloud AI, and I had a conversation about mental health as well.
Oh, right, fair, yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually understood and could empathize in a robotic way.
Yeah. As much as a robot could,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it could.
Okay.
Of course, it will say like I'm a robot made by Anthropic, and please do find a mental health support. But I not resonate, but I forgot the exact wording, but it tries to acknowledge what you are saying,
Interesting.
and then like still, if possible, find someone.
The right person.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
thought, like, oh my gosh, this is nice. And it's a 2 a.m. conversation as well.
Yeah. Well, interesting thing, during lockdown, the reason I probably got into doing like a startup was during lockdown, me and one of my mates set up a casual conversation line for like kind of mental wellness. And we ended up getting 100 volunteers
Wow.
on our lines and just having casual conversations with people. So yeah, no, it's I think from a mental health perspective, I guess the more you can improve more relatable conversations and get to better results, or get people to the right places quicker, is very important.
Yeah. I mean, like, as a disclaimer, we don't use like.
No.
I mean, like, we mainly use Claude or ChatGPT, for that matters, for like mostly for content creation.
Yeah.
Or for coding, because at
You
least
get
according.
quicker results.
Yeah, but I would say what Adi said, that's my business partner, he found ChatGPT to be a bit slightly more better when it comes to coding assistance.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
Is it just trained on better data
Maybe.
when it comes to that?
Okay, Matty, I have a burning question.
Go for it.
So it's about Metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
So from what we know, at least the usage of Metaverse right now, it's about the idea of having a digital identity, having your avatar, and then having a digital goods as well as some digital wallet in that particular verse. But it's not new. The concept, I mean, it's already been there since video games. Let's say if you play The Sims, even if you play The Sims, you can create your own avatar. You have maybe not digital goods per se, but it's related to the game. Or we can take other example, like other games. Maybe I don't really play much online games, but maybe Minecraft. Maybe like you can create your own identity. You can also have digital goods. You can have currency as well. So why is the idea of metaverse is more booming than video games?
So I actually think that the metaverse platforms of today aren't metaverse platforms. I actually think they're gaming platforms with a Web3 touch to them, of like ownership, because I think ownership is going to be very important in a metaverse. But the metaverse is more of a wider concept. And it's more like a psychological attitude towards society. So it's exploring this idea of when someone prioritizes digital and physical on the same level of like as an entity. So being able to kind of have your digital life and physical life on the same bar as each other. And it's this idea of like, there was a really nice case study actually someone gave us. So they posed to their daughter, and the daughter came to them and was like, please, daddy, I must buy this digital item online. It will complete my character. It's a little t-shirt. It's got this logo on it. I want it. And he was like, what if I go and print that t-shirt and you can have it physically? She didn't want it. She prioritized that digital universe way over a physical universe. And it's getting to that point of when is that important to someone, and when is digital kind of becoming on par? And that's where the metaverse word is kind of moving towards, and I think that's where it's going to be more relevant. Not in these either. So there's the kind of Web 2 gaming platforms, which ultimately World of Warcraft was technically a metaverse. You could buy, you had digital lives. A lot of people prioritize that over their physical well-being. But I guess that layer of actual physical digital ownership over those items and being able to kind of own those and be able to resell them and then also have that idea of interoperability between other platforms.
What was the word again?
Interoperability. So
Interoperability.
being able to have your Call of Duty skins whilst also in Minecraft, whilst also in Fortnite. This kind of idea of true ownership and true kind of digital identity. That's where the metaverse word will kind of move towards.
So from what you've been saying, as long as there's an element of, not element, but like there's a relevancy with the real world between the digital item and its physical item or brand or whatnot.
And when you've got mixed reality glasses, those items can kind of come onto you whilst you're walking about.
Right, okay.
And it's this idea, it will be physically, digitally overlapping.
Right. Okay. Okay, I think I got the answer there. So it's more like, as long as there's that element of real life, but also not being locked into a particular type of games,
Ecosystem.
Or ecosystem.
Yeah.
And you can use it like in the different devices or different platforms.
Or fidgetly.
Fidgetly.
Digital physical items.
Okay.
So a lot of our like fashion clients are looking at fidgetal as like a new keyword in the kind of system that they develop. So being able to have your t-shirt physically and digitally, or physically with digital enhancements.
Right. Okay. So that brings me to another question.
Go for it.
So why is this craze with, I mean, not craze, I could say, but why are people starting to embrace this digital identity of themselves?
I think we've always had it. And I definitely think COVID's kind of spearheaded it more, because ultimately all these kids that didn't really go into college or high school during COVID, the way they socialised was over the digital platforms. And that was their day-to-day lives of, they'll jump on Fortnite, they'll play some games with their 5 mates, and they'll go to bed. And then they'll go to a Zoom call and having their own digital kind of classrooms. in these kind of home spaces. I guess that was probably what spearheaded the kind of prioritization of the digital identity, in my personal opinion. And I think that's then kind of bounced off the NFT market and this idea of ownership and attaching smart contracts to real things or new things. Obviously, NFTs, they had a place in the market for where it was. I don't think digital art was the point of it, but I think the technology behind it is very, very powerful in terms of like being able to give people like digital ownership over objects or physical items, which are now a lot of the smart contracts are just being attached to physical items to verify ownership, or physical tickets to go to physical events, which are digitally verified. I think that helped. And then obviously Meta's very bold ambition of changing the name and this is our direction we're going. I didn't like how they said it, because I don't think you can tell a community this is where you need to go. I think they need to explore it and get to their own result. But their stock's already bounced back up in a year. And they're still cracking on and still developing what they see as the future of kind of the digital identity.
So am I right to say that this is only for a particular, more on the Gen Z and beyond type of thing?
I would say for now. For now. But so was Facebook back in the day.
Yeah, that's
and now
true.
Facebook's a 65 plus market.
Yeah.
Or 45. But the old market on Facebook's massive now. Like the stats on like who's on it and who's actually using it, it's mainly like 45 plus, but the 65 market is big. And then all the youth market on Facebook's disappeared completely and gone to Instagram or TikTok or a little bit of Snapchat. I think the idea of it now is like, yes, it's going to be big for these youth communities, but at the end of the day, it will kind of seep into a mass market as it kind of gains momentum.
And what do you say about that?
What do I think about it?
Will it gain momentum?
Yeah, definitely. But again, technology needs to pick up. We can't hack the technology we've got now. It doesn't cope to the amount of data that needs to be hosted to get to that kind of end goal.
Yeah.
Like we're exploring pixel streaming a lot for some of our clients. Pixel streaming is just not affordable yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Not at all. It's costing like people, I think it was one user a day is like 150 quid, if not more. And it's just not sustainable for a business to kind of be doing that. And that's not the hosting, that's just someone using it.
And adding hosting on top of it's going to be more.
So I think, and then like a phone, like 4G, 5G, just isn't up to standard yet. Like we're getting models that are, let me think. We're getting like a 20 million polygon model. Polygons being like the megapixels of 3D. We have to reduce that 20 million polygon model to 250,000.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's very compressed.
Yeah.
And it's only a proportion of the data that you realistically need in what you want. But it's the same with the websites and like compressing images. But that's a lot of compression.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always about technology constraints and whether the technology of the day can accommodate it yet or not. Maybe it can in, let's say, in the next 5-10 years.
I think Xbox is on a very, very, like Microsoft and Xbox are on a very, very good direction to having this kind of metaverse. Mainly because they've just acquired half the gaming market.
With the acquisition of
everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone and everyone. But I guess it's like they will have an ecosystem there that will be able to accommodate to a vast number of IPs. And actually creating a digital realm for that to live in is going to be very interesting. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it has been a very
actually, just on it.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of the metaverse?
What do I think about Metaverse? I will say this because, again, it's bias. So I'm still trying to understand what is the charm of, what's the charming point of it. That's why I ask you all of those questions, because it's about, maybe it's because I'm a 90 born, so I'm more about whether it's realistic or not, but still entertaining the possibility of tech as well, or the possibility of new things. At this current incarnation, it's more about still trying to understand what's the possibility and why would I want to live my second life or my life in a online if I can live my own life in a physical realm, if that makes sense.
Can I do a double-edged sword on that?
Ooh.
Of how do you work already?
I mean, tech. Yeah, it is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you already work with tech, and there's not a lot. There's not much. There's only a certain amount of tech you can take for the whole day. Then after that, of course, you just want to go back home and just switch off everything, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
I think back in the day, I was very much in this mindset of, I think the home office is going to become even more powerful. Because if you can have these more digital, physical interactions from your home and make your home feel like coming to Fraser House, then would that not be interesting?
That would be interesting to explore. Yeah, I mean, I would like to try and see, okay, how is that gonna look like and how's that gonna feel like? Because I feel like the key point here is, I mean, visually, yes, that would be great, but also how does that makes us feel, right? It's all about,
definitely from a psychological perspective.
Yeah, it's all about the experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm open to try. It's just for now, I think I'm still in that mindset of trying to understand, and trying to get my head around it, pretty much.
It's got a long way to go, but I'm excited.
Yes.
There's a lot to explore. Thank you for watching. It's been a great little podcast, this. And then if you want to check out any more content, check out our Spotify, our LinkedIn, YouTube, or go to sairo.uk on web.